In this video, we're going to take a look at the Noodler's Neponset. So let's jump straight to the end with my thoughts on this pen. Noodler's is a brand that people love to pick on. And so starting out, I have to say that I am a fan of the brand. So take that for what it's worth with what I think about this pen. I find its size to be awesome. It's perfect. It's long enough. I don't have to use it capped or posted. It writes very well. It does have a lot of feedback, but it is also a very large nib on this pen. It's very juicy to write with, and with that, any ink that has any amount of shading is really going to stand out well with this. I find that whenever I'm using it, there's never any kind of hand cramping at all. Now, I did say there's a lot of feedback with this. It's a little bit more feedback than I would prefer, but that's because it's so broad as a music nib. And the only thing I could say as a negative for it is certainly one of the more expensive pens that you can get from Noodler's, a brand that's really known for inexpensive and keeping things very affordable for people on the market. If there was one thing I really wish there was, and that would be the ability to buy a replacement nib for this pen, and that's just because I want to be able to get it. No real reason, not like there's a problem. I like using this pen. Now that we know my feelings on the Noodler's Neponset, let's see how I got to that opinion, starting with the unboxing. The Noodler's Neponset came in a box like this. Noodler's, famous for keeping the cost down, has this generic packaging that they use. If you don't keep the packaging, then that's a bonus. I tend to keep the packaging, but I don't keep the Noodler's packaging. I find the pens are absolutely strong enough that they don't get scratched up when just put in a bag with other pens or other things. So the little box is enough. With the pen out of the box, we need to get to the nib. And as long as it doesn't take 20 turns to uncap it, I'm generally okay. So how many turns does it take to uncap this pen? The Noodler's Neponset takes 1, 2 turns to uncap. It does take a lot of turns to uncap. 2 full turns is quite a bit to uncap this pen. Not the kind of thing that you're really using to just jot a quick note here and there, but if you're sitting down for a longer writing session, then the excessive number of turns to uncap this pen aren't any kind of a problem, really. This gets us to the nib. This pen has a steel music nib. The most noticeable thing with this pen is the fact that it has a music nib, and I would like to thank Noodler's, not that they were the first ones to do it, but they really did make music nibs more popular and more noticed by other people, bringing attention to other companies that already had music nibs. Noodler's just helped bring some of that attention. If you enjoy videos like this, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. Now, let's ink this pen up. The Noodler's Neponset is a syringe type filler that holds approximately 2 milliliters of ink, or you can use Noodler's reusable 308 cartridges that hold approximately 3.5 milliliters of ink. The ink for today is Diatramentis Tobacco Sunburst. This pen holds a massive amount of ink in its converter or in its 308 cartridge, or, oh my God, fill the body. I think it holds about a half gallon of ink, probably close to 7 mils. I know it's a little bit more than 6. If you like having a large ink capacity, then this is a great pen. As a habit, I don't normally post my pens, but some people prefer to post pens, and some pens need to be posted to use comfortably. You can post this. The cap has a band on it, which is nice to help to protect from cracking. But when posted, it is like you're holding a wand. It is way out there and does make it feel a little bit back heavy. I prefer to use this pen unposted. I find the length of this pen to be absolutely just perfect, especially at its price point. Very comfortable to use unposted, although you can use it posted if you wanted to. Now, the important part, the writing sample. As I said, I'm a fan of Noodlers, and the Ahab was a pen that was really a great experience for me, and I know that people like to pick on the brand. I find that the size of this in my hand really does make writing page after page. Sit down and write 7 or 8 pages with your favorite pen and see if your hand hurts. It doesn't with this. I can sit down and write this pen out of ink on a Saturday and not have any kind of pains in my hand as a result of it. The size of this pen makes it very comfortable to write with. Do I wish that the nib was a little bit smoother? Yes, and I may go back and smooth it just a little bit because I like feedback, but there's a bit more than I would prefer. I've just been really holding off for a long time on kind of tuning any of my pens if they wrote fine as they were, and this one really does. I don't find any kind of an issue with it skipping or having hard starts. It just does an amazing job. And when you're writing a lot and you're writing fast, the ebonite feed really helps it keep up and not be any kind of an issue. I wish I had this pen as a student, even though it's very broad writing. The fact that I can go through page after page without having to slow down makes this pen a real winner. I'm not one of those people that tries to sit down and have perfect penmanship. I try to get my notes down on the page, and when I'm moving fast, this pen keeps up. My hand doesn't hurt. It looks good. And I like the finish of this pen. I don't know what to say. I'm a fan of the brand. I like this pen. I kind of wish, along with being able to get the another one of these nibs, I kind of wish that the Ahab came a little bit larger, just like this pen. I like this one a little bit more than the Ahab just because of its size. Now for something a bit more standard in comparing writing size. I use Namiki Blue to do this. Here's how it compares to a Yovo Extra Fine on the left, a medium in the middle, and a 1.1 stub on the right. Quite naturally, with this being a music nib, it is one of the broader nibs that I have. But the thing is, it's not like it writes like a stub. So it's not stub broad where you have to use a little bit larger writing when writing with it. But how does it compare in writing size to other nibs I've used? Looking at the writing of a Noodler's Neponset with a music nib. Here it is next to a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub from Goulet, a Sailor 1911 Standard with a music nib, which will be the same as a Tasha Spectrum, also with a music nib. A Pilot Custom 912, still a music nib. And a Sailor 1911 Large with a zoom nib. So it isn't a review without some size comparisons. Here it is capped. Here it is uncapped. And here it is posted. We see in the size comparisons, this is a larger pen. This is right, it's an oversized, without a doubt. That little bit more compared to the Ahab takes it from being large to oversized and makes it great in the hand. Now, perhaps if you have really small hands, you might not enjoy this as much. That's going to be much more of a you thing. But I think if you enjoy large pens, you can enjoy this pen. Before we can ink this pen with a new ink, we need to clean it out. Be sure to check out the next pen review when we take a look at the Pilot Vanishing Point. Sometimes, after a long day of filming, I need to sit back and relax and enjoy myself. Open up a nice barley pop. Go ahead and watch it go. Drink responsibly. I don't actually have an ad today. I just needed something for in the rotation, but that was a good break. If you want to be able to support not just my channel, but any reviewer, then when you make a purchase, be sure to tell that retailer where you heard about it. Thanks for watching.